Welcome back, everybody, to History's Mixed Bag, where we like to dig a little deeper into stories you might think you know. But trust me, there's always more to uncover.
Always.
Today's deep dive is all about a pivotal moment in space history. A story about two very special Soviet space dogs, Belka and Strelka.
Belka and Strelka.
Names that probably ring a bell for a lot of you, but I bet you haven't heard the whole story.
Yeah, their journey is fascinating. What's often overlooked is that their success, groundbreaking as it was, well, it was really built upon a foundation of less, let's say, less triumphant events,
Okay, so set the stage for us.
right?
What was going on in the world back then? Why was getting into space such a big deal?
Okay, picture this. It's the Cold War.
Uh-huh.
The US and the USSR are locked in this incredibly intense rivalry, right? And space exploration. Well, that becomes this big symbolic battleground. Both sides are desperate to prove they're the best, technologically superior, and well, the stakes are incredibly high.
So the space race wasn't just about science. It was about national pride, political dominance, showing the world who was top dog.
Exactly. And you have to remember, this is a time when spaceflight was brand new, uncharted territory.
Right.
No human had ever left the planet.
Wow.
The risks,
Yeah.
enormous. The technology, well, it was still in its infancy, really.
Which brings us to the use of animals in these early missions. It's a bit of a tough subject to think about, isn't it?
It is, it is. I mean, before humans could go up, someone had to test the waters, so to speak. And unfortunately, that meant sending animals up first.
So before Belka and Strelka, there was Laika,
Yes.
the first living being to orbit the Earth.
Tragically, Leica's mission was a one-way trip. The technology it wasn't there yet.
They couldn't bring her back.
No. It's a story that really highlights, well, both the ambition and the harsh realities of those early space flights.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why you call this podcast History's Mixed Bag. It seems like these groundbreaking achievements, they always came at a cost.
You know, that's the thing about history, isn't it? It's never just black and white.
Yeah.
There's always nuance, complexity, and often a hidden side to the story, something we tend to forget.
So, knowing that Laika didn't make it back, it makes the story of Belka and Strelka even more significant, right?
Right.
Can you tell us more about their mission and what made it so unique?
Well, just a month before Belka and Strelka's flight, there was another mission.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Just a month before. So the Soviets sent another mission up, knowing what happened to Laika.
Yes. And that mission, well, let's just say it ended in disaster.
Oh, no.
Two other dogs were sent up, but their capsule, well, it suffered a catastrophic failure during launch.
Wow, I never knew that. And the Soviets still went ahead with Belka and Strelka just weeks later.
Yeah. The pressure to succeed was immense. They were determined to get a breakthrough. They learned from each mission, as devastating as the failures were. Belka and Strelka's capsule, well, it was a testament to their determination and, well, also their willingness to push boundaries despite the risks involved. They designed this whole new capsule
Huh.
equipped with an advanced life support system and, crucially, this heat shield for reentry.
Oh, wow.
Remember, this was like cutting-edge tech at the time.
Yeah, so they really upped their game for Belka and Strelka.
Oh, they had to. I mean,
Yeah.
that previous failure really made the world question if the Soviets could pull this off. This mission, well, it wasn't just about scientific progress anymore. It was about restoring their image, proving they were still a superpower.
And it worked, right?
Yeah.
Belka and Strelka, I mean, they became like global celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing pictures of them everywhere.
It was a huge propaganda win for the Soviets, for sure. But let's not forget, I mean, these dogs were more than just propaganda tools. They were living beings. They went through this harrowing experience. Just imagine the stress, the unknown, being strapped into this tiny capsule and blasted into space.
Yeah, it gives me chills just thinking about it. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all seen footage of rockets launching.
Yes.
Right? The vibrations, the G-forces, all of that.
Yeah.
And these dogs went through that, plus the disorientation of actually being in orbit.
And remember, this was before we really, really understood the long-term effects of space travel. No one knew for sure if they'd even survive the journey, let alone like what could happen to their health down the line.
It's a stark reminder, right? Behind all those celebratory headlines, those pictures of these adorable space dogs, there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of risk.
Exactly. And while Belka and Strelka's mission was a technical success, you can't ignore the fact that they sent them up just weeks after a fatal launch.
Yeah.
It raises some serious ethical questions.
It does. It makes you wonder, what were those scientists, the engineers, what was going through their minds? Did they have any reservations about it all?
It was a different time, different priorities, I guess. The Cold War, it created this atmosphere where pushing boundaries, sometimes at any cost, was seen as necessary, to win.
So in a way, Belka and Strelka, they were kind of caught in the middle of this geopolitical chess match, pawns in a much larger game.
In a sense, yeah, I guess you could say that. But it's also important to acknowledge, I think, that the scientists and engineers, the people working on these missions, they were deeply invested in their work. They weren't heartless monsters.
So they cared about the animals, but they were driven by the bigger picture.
Think of it this way. They were trying to solve this incredibly complex puzzle, right? And the pieces of that puzzle, well, they involve some really, really tough choices.
I suppose that's the essence of history's mixed bag, isn't it? The
Yeah.
the triumphs, the tragedies, the ethical dilemmas, all kind of tangled up with these incredible achievements. It's not always easy to make sense of it all.
Yeah, exactly. And as you dig deeper into this story, into others like it, you'll find history, well, it rarely offers those easy answers. It's about asking those tough questions, challenging our assumptions, recognizing that the past is complex.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
What can we learn from the story of Belka and Strelka and these other animals who really paved the way for human spaceflight?
Well, for one, it reminds us that progress, well, it often comes at a price. And as we continue to push the boundaries of exploration, whether it's in space or in other areas, I think we have this responsibility to learn from the past, and make more informed choices, more ethical choices.
That's a powerful message. And it's especially relevant today as we look to the future of space exploration, sending humans to Mars, missions with even greater risks, even more unknowns.
Exactly. And as we embark on these ambitious endeavors, it's crucial that we think about the ethical implications, not just for the human explorers, but for any living beings that accompany us on that journey.
Yeah, because a good reminder, scientific progress is essential, sure, but it shouldn't come at the expense of our moral compass.
Absolutely. And I think Belka and Strelka's story, with all its, complexities and contradictions, it serves as a powerful reminder of that balance, that delicate balance.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the history of space exploration and the story of Belka and Strelka. It's been fascinating and at times, yeah, pretty challenging. But as always, history leaves us with more questions than answers.
And those questions are what make exploring the past so rewarding, wouldn't you say?
So to you listening, what will you take away from this story? What does the legacy of Belka and Strelka mean to you? As you continue to explore this vast universe of knowledge, remember to keep questioning, keep learning, and most importantly, keep those critical thinking skills sharp. Until next time, keep exploring.
It's interesting you bring up Mars. While Belka and Strelka's mission was a success, it paved the way for Yuri Gagarin to become the first human in space.
Gagarin.
Yeah, just 7 months later.
Wow, just 7 months. That's incredible. I mean, the pace of progress back then has been mind-blowing.
It really was. And Gagarin, reflecting on the sacrifices made by those animals, famously said, I don't know if I'm the first man or the last dog in space.
That's a powerful quote. It really does kind of highlight that connection, right?
Yeah.
Between those early animal missions and then the eventual triumph of human spaceflight.
Yeah, it also speaks to the ethical complexities we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Even Gagarin, at that moment of incredible personal achievement, he felt compelled to acknowledge the role those animals played and perhaps the moral ambiguity of it all.
It makes you think, doesn't it? About the weight of history, the sacrifices made, the questions that linger even as we celebrate these milestones, in human exploration.
And those questions, they're important. They force us to really grapple with the nuances of progress,
Right.
the unintended consequences and the ethical dilemmas that come up when we push those boundaries of what's possible.
It seems like every step forward in space exploration, every triumph, it's shadowed by these hard truths, these mixed bags of history, as we've been saying.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder that exploration, whether it's venturing out into space or delving into the past,
Yeah.
it's rarely a straightforward path. There are always ethical considerations, difficult choices, and a responsibility to learn from those who came before us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the story of Belka and Strelka,
Mm.
what's the one thing you hope people take away from their mission?
I think I think it's the understanding that history is never simple. It's this tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy, ambition and sacrifice. And it's up to us to examine those threads carefully, to learn from the past and to make more informed, more compassionate choices as we continue our own, our own journey of exploration and discovery.
Well said. It's been a thought-provoking conversation, and I'm sure our listeners will have plenty to ponder as they reflect on the story of Belka and Strelka and the mixed bag of history that surrounds them. Until next time, keep exploring.